city hummed below, a restless beast of glass and steel, as Alina's sleek black Mercedes purred through the downtown streets. At 43, she carried herself with the kind of elegance that turned heads, long blonde hair cascading over her shoulders, a tailored blazer hugging her curves, and eyes that held secrets she'd never confess. She was the director of a thriving marketing firm, a woman who commanded boardrooms with the same effortless grace she now used to navigate traffic. Beside her sat Mia, the firm's 29-year-old accountant, a quiet beauty with sharp cheekbones and a nervous habit of tucking her blonde hair behind her ear. It was lunchtime, and Alina had suggested they escape the office for a bite at the Skyline, a rooftop restaurant perched atop one of the city's tallest buildings. Her husband, David, co-director, and ever the workaholic, had waved them off with a distracted smile, buried in spreadsheets. He didn't suspect a thing. Neither did they, not yet. But as the elevator doors would soon close behind them, the air would thicken with something dangerous, something forbidden, something that would leave them all breathless. Hey, if you're already hooked, smash that like button and subscribe for more steamy stories like this one. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Skyline wasn't just a restaurant, it was a statement. Glass walls framed a panoramic view of the city, the horizon stretching out like a lover's promise. The rooftop buzzed with the clink of wine glasses and the murmur of the elite, businessmen in crisp suits, influencers snapping photos of their overpriced salads. Alina strode in, her heels clicking against the polished marble floor, exuding a confidence that made the room shift its attention. Mia trailed behind, clutching her purse, her wide eyes darting around the opulent space. The hostess, a statuesque woman in a black dress, greeted them with a knowing smile and led them to a corner table near the edge, where the glass railing offered a dizzying drop to the streets below. Lena slid into her seat, crossing her legs with a deliberate slowness that drew Mia's gaze. "Relax," she said, her voice a low, velvety purr. "David's got everything under control back at the office. We deserve this." Mia nodded, forcing a smile, but her fingers fidgeted with the edge of the menu. The tension between them was subtle, an unspoken current that had been building for weeks. Stolen glances in meetings, a brush of hands over paperwork, the way Alina's laugh lingered in the air just a little too long. Neither had named it, but it was there, simmering. Waiter arrived, and the air shifted again. He was young mid-20s, maybe tall and lean, with dark hair swept back and a jawline that could cut glass. His name tag read Luca, and his smile was a weapon, sharp and disarming. "Good afternoon, ladies," he said, his voice smooth as silk, his eyes locking onto Alina for a beat too long. "What can I get started for you?" His accent, Italian, perhaps rolled off his tongue like a caress, and Alina tilted her head, her lips curling into a smirk. "Surprise us," she said, leaning forward slightly, her blazer dipping just enough to reveal the curve of her collarbone. Something bold. Luca's gaze flickered, a spark igniting behind his hazel eyes. Mia shifted in her seat, her cheeks flushing, but she didn't look away. The game had begun, and none of them knew how far it would go. Minutes later, Luca returned with a bottle of chilled Prosecco and 3 glasses. "On the house," he said, popping the cork with a flourish. The bubbles fizzed, mirroring the tension bubbling between them. He poured, his fingers brushing Alina as he handed her the glass, a touch that lingered a fraction too long. She didn't pull away. Instead, she raised the glass to her lips, her eyes never leaving his, and took a slow sip. Mia watched, her breath catching as Luca turned to her next, his hand grazing hers as he passed her the drink. "To new experiences," he toasted, raising his own glass. The clink echoed like a gunshot. Meal unfolded in a haze of flirtation. Plates of truffle risotto and seared scallops passed between them. But the real feast was in the glances, the laughter, the The way Luca leaned in close to refill their glasses, his breath warm against Alina's ear as he murmured something about the dessert menu. Mia loosened up, her shyness melting under the Prosecco and Alina's infectious confidence. "Your trouble," she teased Alina, her voice soft but daring. Lina laughed, a rich, throaty sound that made Luca pause mid-step as he cleared a plate. "Only if you let me be," Alina shot back, her foot nudging Mia's under the table, a playful, electric touch. Luca caught it, his lips twitching into a grin. The restaurant faded into the background, the other diners oblivious to the storm brewing at their table. It was Luca who broke the dam. "You two are dangerous together," he said, leaning against the table, his apron pulling tight across his chest. "I'm off in 10 minutes. Care to make this lunch unforgettable?" The invitation hung in the air, bold and reckless. Alina's pulse quickened, her mind flashing to David, to the office, to the life she'd built. But her body betrayed her, heat pooling low in her stomach. She glanced at Mia, whose wide eyes held a mix of fear and hunger. "What do you say?" Lina asked her, voice husky. Mia swallowed hard, then nodded, a single trembling motion. "Yes." Next moments blurred into a rush of adrenaline. Luca led them through a staff door, down a narrow hallway lined with wine crates, to a small, dimly lit storage room. The air smelled of oak and spice, the shelves stacked with bottles glinting in the faint light. The door clicked shut behind them, and the world outside ceased to exist. Lina moved first, her hands finding Luca's shirt, tugging him toward her with a fierceness that surprised even her. Their lips crashed together, a collision of need and defiance. He tasted of Prosecco and danger, his hands sliding up her back, pulling her blazer off in one fluid motion. Mia stood frozen, her breath ragged, until Alina broke the kiss and turned to her. "Come here," she whispered, reaching out. Mia stepped forward, hesitant, then bold, her fingers trembling as she touched Alina's bare shoulder. Luca watched, his eyes dark with desire, as the two women closed the distance. Alina cupped Mia's face, her thumbs brushing her lips before kissing her soft at first, then deeper, a moan escaping Mia's throat. The sound snapped Luca into action. He pressed himself against Alina's back, his hands roaming her hips, his lips grazing her neck. She arched into him, caught between them, the heat of their bodies overwhelming. Clothes fell away in a tangle. Alina's blazer hit the floor, followed by Mia's blouse, buttons popping in their haste. Luca's apron landed atop a crate, his shirt unbuttoned to reveal a taut chest. Alina's skirt rode up as she perched on the edge of a wooden table, her legs parting to pull Mia closer. Their kisses grew frantic, hands exploring, Alina's fingers tracing the lace of Mia's bra, Mia's nails digging into Alina's thighs. Luca knelt between them, his mouth finding Alina's skin, trailing kisses up her inner thigh until she gasped, her head tipping back. Room filled with their sounds, soft cries, sharp breaths, the rustle of fabric against skin. Luca's hands gripped Alina's hips, guiding her as he rose, his arousal pressing against her through his trousers. She reached for him, deft fingers undoing his belt, while Mia's lips found her neck, her teeth grazing the sensitive spot below her ear. The table creaked beneath them, bottles clinking on the shelves as their movements grew urgent. Lina's blonde hair spilled across her shoulders, a wild contrast to her flushed skin, her eyes half-lidded with pleasure. Mia's shyness vanished, replaced by a boldness that matched Alina's. She tugged Luca closer, her hands joining Alina's, their fingers brushing as they freed him from his constraints. He groaned, a low, primal sound, as they took turns, Alina's lips on his, then Mia's, a rhythm building between them. The air thickened with sweat and desire, the risk of discovery only fueling the fire. A distant clatter from the hallway made them freeze, hearts pounding, but no one came. The danger pushed them further. Lina orchestrated it all, her voice a commanding whisper. "Touch her," she told Luca, guiding his hand to Mia's waist. "Like this," she murmured, showing him with her own fingers, sliding them beneath Mia's skirt. Mia whimpered, her body trembling as they worked in tandem, Alina's confidence driving the chaos. Luca's free hand found Alina again, slipping beneath her panties, his touch precise and relentless. She bit her lip to stifle a cry, her body shuddering as waves of pleasure crashed over her. "I'm dissolved." The lines between them blurred, hands, lips, skin merging in a dance of forbidden ecstasy. Alina's climax hit first, a sharp, shuddering release that left her gasping, her nails digging into Luca's shoulder. Mia followed, her cry muffled against Alina's chest, her body collapsing against her. Luca finished last, his groan echoing in the small space, his head resting against Alina's thigh as they all caught their breath. Aftermath was a mess of tangled limbs and scattered clothes. Alina smoothed her hair, her composure returning as she slipped her blazer back on, though her lipstick was smeared, her eyes still wild. Mia fumbled with her blouse, her hands shaking, a dazed smile on her lips. Luca adjusted his apron, his grin cocky, but softened by exhaustion. "You're late," he teased, glancing at his watch. Alina laughed, a sound edged with recklessness. Back in the car, the silence was deafening. Alina gripped the steering wheel, her knuckles white, while Mia stared out the window, her breath fogging the glass. The office loomed ahead, David waiting, oblivious. They missed the end of lunch by an hour. Alina's phone buzzed his name on the screen, but she didn't answer. Instead, she turned to Mia, her voice low. "We don't tell him, ever." Mia nodded, but her eyes held a question, a spark that hadn't been there before. Alina smirked, pulling into the parking lot. The elevator ride up was tense, their reflections in the mirrored walls showing two women forever changed. As the doors opened, David looked up from his desk, frowning. "Where the hell have you been?" Lena's smile was a mask, flawless and unreadable. "Lunch ran long," she said, brushing past him. Mia followed, her steps unsteady. Behind them, the city stretched out, indifferent to the secrets it now held, and to what might happen next.